Hey guys, my name is Dave. My story is sad, and I hope it never happens to any of you. But here's an example of how a person goes through all 5 stages of grief. And I'll tell you how to handle it. As it usually happens, everything started at the most inappropriate period of my life. I had just turned 16. I had my beloved mother, the best friends in the world, and a beautiful girlfriend. And then I started having headaches. Nothing unusual, right? I thought it was because of the weather or a lack of sleep. So I was just taking painkillers and minding my own business. But after a couple of weeks, I became dizzy, which just added to the pain. I was just lying on the bed, but it felt like I was rocking back and forth, like I was on a ship in a storm or something. Obviously, I had to go to the doctor. At the appointment, he examined me and said that they needed to do an MRI of my brain, a common thing for my symptoms. After the test, we waited for the results in the hallway. I saw that my mother was really worried and tears came to her eyes. I was a little confused, but my mom shared that years ago, my dad had to have surgery and he was fighting a disease. The doctors told my father that he had only 2 years to live and he wanted to leave something behind. A year later, I was born. And after another year, he died. My mother used to say that I looked just like him, but I don't remember him at all. This didn't make things any easier. I wanted to cheer her up, and I told her that I couldn't have cancer and that we'd know for sure soon, but I was wrong. The doctor called us in and had some bad news. He hung up a picture of my brain and pointed to a little glowing point. He said it was a tumor. Then he asked if any of my family member had had cancer because then I could be predisposed to the disease too. And this tumor could be malignant. It's really small now and needs to be removed, and the sooner it's done, the better. But I swear to you, I didn't see anything. So I refused to believe that I had cancer. This dot was so small that it could be confused with anything. At that moment, everything was absolutely clear to me. This doctor was wrong, and we just needed to go to another hospital, and they'll just give me some migraine pills. My mom begged me to start treatment faster, but I was old enough to make my own decisions. After another week, I was downing painkillers and trying to convince my mom that I was better so she wouldn't worry. But at some point, I noticed that my vision was getting worse, and I got scared. It looks like the doctor was right. I did the MRI again, and now it was clearly visible. The tumor was in my brain, and it had become bigger. There was no doubt that I had brain cancer. Thus ended the first stage of acceptance, denial, and things started to get even worse. The hospital became my new home. I didn't want to accept the diagnosis, and I was mad at literally everything. Doctors in white coats, endless tests, hospital food, and my room, where it felt like I was in prison. But most of all, I was angry at the pity people had for me. My friends and my girlfriend used to come to visit me with their sad faces and try to say that everything was going to be fine. My mom kept holding my hand and crying. I was so sick and tired of it. Why me? Why is this happening to me? Predisposed to cancer. Those words were in my head. Is that what I inherited from my father? Brain cancer? I'm in the hospital now because my parents decided to have a child who would be predisposed to cancer? I blamed my mom. I yelled at her and I kicked her out of my room. I had never been so angry in my life. I thought it would be easier if I could just be alone. But they didn't want to leave me. When I was under the drip, a whole delegation of my friends came to me. And of course, they started to say how important it was to be with your loved ones and that my mom should be with me and blah, blah, blah. Every word of it made me angry. How can they not understand? I'm dying, and they're trying to tell me what I should do? I yelled at them and ordered them to leave, but they refused. They said that I needed the support of my family, even though I didn't understand it right now. Then I shouted, "If you don't want to leave me alone, then I'll just leave myself." I snatched the IV from my hand and got up quickly. But even before I could get to the door, my head started spinning and my eyes started to darken, and a second later I passed out. This was the stage of anger. It's very dangerous because I could hurt myself and others in a rage. I woke up, and the first thing I saw was the scared faces of my friends. I was terrified, and I started to cry. There was only one thought in my head: I don't want to die. For the first time, I felt so scared, and I repeated those words like a mantra. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. After a couple of days, I was ready for surgery. I don't want to frighten you, so I'll leave out all the details. But it is important to know that the operation didn't solve the problem completely. Because before, when I went to the doctors and refused to believe them, the cancer had more time to progress, and the surgery just basically bought me a little more time. As the doctor said, I'll live for another 2 or 3 years. Yeah, now I had my expiration date. But I wasn't going to put up with this. After I got out of the hospital, I spent my days on the internet reading about people who had cases like mine. And I learned that some people live much longer than 3 years. Some of them have even fully recovered. In my search, I came across an article about a man who had beat cancer. And this man has published many books about his own fight with the disease and how religion had helped him. I read them all. Incredibly, he was able to overcome the disease with the help of spiritual practices, and now he travels the world and teaches them to other people. I thought, this is my chance. Soon he was supposed to have a seminar in a town nearby, but when I told my mom about it, she didn't share my enthusiasm. Quite the opposite, actually. She got scared and started to worry. She was afraid I was going to get into some kind of a cult, but I convinced her that it was all okay and that I really needed it. She agreed to let me go on one condition. She would come with me to make sure everything was fine. We spent a lot of money, and I was really looking forward to the seminar. We arrived at the venue. It turned out to be some kind of a gym or something where they set up a stage and some chairs. The audience was full of very strange people. Soon the mentor came on the stage. For almost an hour, he talked about the spiritual world of man and how material things interfere with spiritual development. But then he said that now he was going to show the audience how everything works. A boy in a wheelchair appeared on the stage, and the mentor said he was going to make the boy walk with the power of will. There was silence for a moment. The mentor looked at the boy for a few seconds, and suddenly the boy got up and started walking. The crowd exploded with applause. They were just crazy about what they saw. They even started to get up from their own seats and try to get on stage. It was complete chaos. At that moment, my mother took my hand and quickly led me to the exit. I asked her why we were leaving, and Mom said, "Can't you see? This man is a fraud. I knew it." "But then why did you let me go?" I asked. Then my mother explained everything to me. She said she wanted me to see it for myself. I have hope for my recovery, And this hope can be manipulated and used by other people. And she was right. I mean, I was ready to do anything to give myself at least one extra day of life. And that's why the bargaining stage is dangerous. You have this blind hope for happiness, and people can cause themselves and others even more harm, or even lose what they already have. So, I just had to be reasonable and accept my fate. After realizing that I couldn't change anything, and that these 3 years are all I have left, the heavy burden of the depression stage fell on me like a ton of bricks. I had to keep living, but why? For what reason? I won't be able to see student life. I won't be able to travel. I won't be able to have a family. During the day, my girlfriend would try to cheer me up, and I'd feel better. But at night, I had insomnia, and I was immersed in my own dark thoughts. I read books about death and watched sad movies. One night, though, I noticed something. In books and movies, the heroes often go to see the sunrise on the ocean. Like in The Bucket List or Knocking on Heaven's Door. And I came up with this crazy idea to just get up and go drive to the ocean with my girlfriend. The journey would probably take a maximum of 2 hours. We would be able to see the sunrise, and then we could be back home by the next morning. I haven't done anything romantic for a long time, so I wanted to surprise Lily. I took my mom's car and drove up to Lily's house. She was awake. I crept up to her window and knocked. At first she got scared, but when she saw it was me, she was delighted. I told her I had a surprise for her, and a few minutes later we were driving towards the coast. Despite the fact that this was a crazy and strange idea, Lily was happy. She said that for the first time in months, I sounded enthusiastic. We drove toward the coast and talked about different things. Soon Lily fell asleep, and I kept driving. I kept looking at the endless white line of the middle of the road. It was like it was hypnotizing me, and soon my eyes started to close too. I don't remember when I passed out, but suddenly I heard a car horn and Lily's scream. I opened my eyes and I saw 2 big headlights that were approaching really fast. We were going to crash into an oncoming car. I barely had time to pull the steering wheel to the side and hit the brakes. We're lucky we didn't crash. Lily was terrified. We both could have died just now. I hugged her tight and I said in a panic, "I'm sorry. I dozed off. I'm so sorry." We both could barely catch our breath. We were so scared. After this, neither of us were in the mood for romance. I took Lily home, put the car in the garage, and I couldn't sleep for a long time. My hands were still shaking. One thought flashed in my mind. I was ready to die, but I could never forgive myself if something had happened to Lily. How would my mom feel then? Or my friends? At this point, I've probably moved on to the last stage, the stage of acceptance. Yes, very little has changed. I'm still dying, but I realized that I still have something to live for. My life belongs not only to me, but also to my loved ones. They supported me all this way, even when I thought I didn't need them. And it's only thanks to my loved ones that I've gotten this far. And now I have accepted the fact that I'm gonna die. So no matter how much time I have left, I will dedicate it to my friends, my girlfriend, and my mother. I hope this never happens to you guys. Show this video to family and friends, and always be patient and sympathetic with your loved ones.